Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to the Tommy Obenchain podcast. I'm Tommy Obenchain, your host. It is the 11th of November today, and I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas, which is a great place to be if you're in Dallas. And if you're not, there are other great places to be too. But we've got a great day of news in the world of travel, aviation, and so we're going to get right into it because that's what we're here for. And the goal is to hit the wave tops and then send you on your way and see you again, well, in not too long. So, with that, what's the news in the world of travel? Probably most substantially, the U.S. government is still shut down, but on the way out of said shutdown, the Senate has passed the bill that reopens the government. The House of Representatives is supposed to sign it tomorrow, and then the White House has stated they're amenable to signing shortly thereafter. Will that undo the snarl that we're currently seeing in, airline world at least? No, not immediately, but it should happen pretty quickly. I'm supposed to travel on Friday, and I'm hoping I'm able to make the trip. We'll keep you apprised here on if I'm able to or not, as a function of, whether my flight gets canceled or not. And that'll kind of hang in the balance too of whether I feel like my return flight will have any issue. My hope is both are able to go without a hitch, and I'm able to go therein because it's a fun trip. We'll see. Okay, so that's the news probably most substantially in the world of travel today. And I've got a link in the email if you're a subscriber that's got a couple of fun articles on it. So check those out if you'd like. But more than all else, the U.S. government's coming back online. Woohoo! Longest shutdown in history. And in that, air travel should resume some level of normalcy after a fairly bizarre last week in the world of, in airline world. Okay, so that's the big news and kind of a wave top. Then from there, I do just want to quickly highlight the amount of delays this weekend. It's kind of fascinating. Basically, the four big U.S. carriers, Southwest, American, Delta, and United, all ran operations where at least 30% of the flying was either delayed or canceled, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was actually a little higher. So it's one in at least three flights, one in kind of three, one in four, I think by some counts. In all cases, it was a very delayed weekend. When I say by some counts, I mean like some carriers more than others. And in all cases, it was just kind of a mess this weekend out and in the world of, airlines. And so it's kind of an interesting season in the U.S. airline industry and just in the U.S. travel space in general because it has been kind of a mess. That's not really been the case if you're traveling internationally to or from the U.S., which is, I guess, borderline good. But domestically, especially between the cancellations that have had to go into effect to reduce the capacity of the air infrastructure at large, coupled then with the knock-on delays as well as just the limitations in air traffic control, and you have just kind of a system that falls like dominoes. I remember a few nights ago, I was watching DFW's here in Dallas's inbound arrivals and departures, and DFW was operating on one runway for departures alone, which was just kind of surreal to see. There are, count them, 7 runways on the field. I think that's correct. You'll double check me, dear listener. I'll double check myself. It doesn't really matter as much as to say that the field was on a massive reduction, arrivals, departures, and it just slows everything down a lot. So that's real. And is it good the U.S. government's reopening? Yes. Is it kind of wild to think that one in somewhere between 3 and 4 flights in the United States, at least on major carriers, was either canceled or delayed? Yes. That's pretty strong, particularly when you just remember that a delay in the U.S. airline industry is a arrival in excess of 15 minutes past that originally scheduled point of arrival. So delays, it's more than 15 minutes kind of past the scheduled arrival time. There's a margin of error already given, is what I'm trying to say. That's interesting. And so it is. Okay, so that's the big news. The lesser news that I wanted to highlight today, because this is just kind of amazing. China's Spring Airlines, they are hiring. They've started a campaign to hire what they call air aunties. It's been a push to bring in women, to my understanding, who are and exclusively so, who are mothers are married and have children, to be more caring towards families with children and towards elderly who are traveling, which is like on paper a pretty decent strategy perhaps in recruitment insofar as like looking for kind of passenger service in broadband categories. Maybe I say that maybe it's not a good strategy. In all cases, it has just evidently gone viral and been very pushed back against in mainland China insofar as the notion and the pejorative that it's been seen as hiring air aunties. So that kind of made me laugh out loud. And so it was. And with that, maybe a final point to make today. I'll make two final points actually. First, this is great, kind of on like the things we laugh at. It's Veterans Day in America. Thank you to the many of you who listen and who have served, and just at large. Thank you to our armed services. Great day in America, to be sure. Thankful for our veterans. And CEO of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, equally thankful of America's veterans. And he is one himself, having gone to the U.S. Air Force Academy, which is quite commendable. But he made the claim today to everyone at United that United is the greatest airline on earth, greatest airline in America, greatest airline in the universe. Doesn't really matter, just the greatest of all time. Which is extraordinary. It kind of depends on what measurements he was taking. So let's just go with most profitable. Delta still got them beat there. Most international. They are the most international of U.S. carriers, but Turkish Airlines has them beat by like a exponential degree insofar as just being a most international carrier, much less a few others beyond Turkish. But Turkish is like so far ahead of the pack, it's kind of crazy insofar as most international destinations served. So it is. And then kind of best in class service. I don't think anyone's kidding themselves that a U.S. airline just doesn't hold that candle. And if one did, it's not United. And I should know. Okay, but terribly, still proud of or like commend Scott Kirby for the fact that he is leading with dynamism and in a direction and has taken United to a level that has previously not been achieved really since I would say like the 90s. Like historically, United really did have a lot of traits that you see in present day United, and for the carrier's flaws, they're pushing to be something that is more than what they were, and that is respectable, and that's a function of leadership. So I do give credit where it's due personally to Scott Kirby for that, and those women and men who are surrounding him. Okay, so cool, United, thank you. Last thing I want to highlight today, this was noted yesterday in the Wall Street Journal. It's kind of been covered broadly, but after a 20-year lawsuit, bank issuers, notably Visa, Mastercard, have come to terms with merchants, and now effectively they will not be just kind of these omni rules or omni rates for the use of their cards by kind of the interchange and different with buying with different merchants. What it means, hard to say, but it will have an effect on the use of rewards cards. I think that the reality that really hasn't been stated with great clarity is that this will largely just mean the cost of usage of cards will, where it's lost on the issuer's basis, be passed on to the consumer, be that in annual fee increases or therein in actual payment for use at and with different merchants, which will be curious because some cards cost more than others to transact upon, within a given merchant scheme or merchants, just basically some cards cost more than others to use insofar as to, receive. What's the word I'm looking for? Doesn't matter. The point's made, just that not all cards are created equal. Not all cards have the same interchange fees by issuers, and how that shakes out between merchants and issuers now that this lawsuit, which began in 2005, is resolved, will be a sight to see, because these premium credit cards alone, these reward cards are immensely profitable on an issuer's basis. To my understanding, I'm not obviously in leadership at JP Morgan Chase or one of the other big banks, but far more kind of apparently and obviously in the world of especially airlines, but just travel companies and travel brands at large. And so what materializes here will be something to see. But I expect there to be change, and in the end, I expect that consumers are going to pay for it. We can talk more about that later, along with Southwest Airlines and the fact that their stock is only up 4% year over year after Elliott's takeover, with just kind of the, I'm going to call them hemorrhaging changes that have been made, and leadership or lack thereof that has been, underfoot. So a lot more to discuss. I booked my first Southwest seat with assigned seats recently. Pretty excited about it, and we'll see how it all goes. With that, we'll see how the day goes, and we'll be back. We expect to be back tomorrow with another episode, wave topping what's happening in travel, what it means for you, and where to go next. I'm Tommy Obenchain, your host. Thanks for flying with me. We'll see you in the next episode.